Hey, good morning. How are you? And happy Tuesday. Thanks for being here with me on Tuesdays with Teresa. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to hop on. I know there was a bunch of people that said that they were going to try to make it this morning. So I'm going to give you a few minutes just to pop on. And if you pop on, say hi. Good morning. I see April. Thank you for joining us, April. For some reason, I noticed when I've done the last few of these that I don't always see everybody's comments. So if I don't respond to your comment, I apologize. But when I go back after it's posted, I will check out your comments and reply if you have a question or a comment. Oh, we have another one. Hi there, Cinnamon Sweet. Oh, I love that name. I love it. I love it. Thanks for being here. I really feel like this is going to be an important episode. So I'm getting really excited to start. I have my notes and just wanted to go over some things before I hopped on. So make sure you go grab your cup. Living in my Nashville cup this morning, and I have a nice cup of coffee with some organic caramel cream in it. That's my favorite. I love caramel. Trying to stay away from the sugar, only sugar that I have throughout the day. So go get your cup and let me know what you're drinking this morning. And good morning to you. So I just want you, if you have a moment to, I want you to grab a pad and a pen or a pencil or something that you can write down, because I feel like I have some really good ideas for you to help manage your anxiety, because that will be the topic of today's show. I know that anxiety really takes over so many of us, and I think it's important that we talk about it. So that's why I wanted to do it. And I've been dealing with anxiety pretty much my whole adult life. Back in college, it was really bad. I had a bout with anxiety and depression, and I think that's really common for that age. Now I think it gets earlier. I think kids are more anxious and more depressed at an earlier age. But I always dealt with panic attacks and feeling anxious and things like that. But as I got older, it seemed to have subsided. But now that I started menopause, I noticed that my anxiety has gotten more frequent. So I don't know if you're like me. I turned 50 in 2019. Just a few months ago. And I've noticed over the past year or so that my anxiety has really, really been more prevalent. I notice it a lot more. I'm having more of those really anxious days. So it could be my hormones. It could be a whole bunch of different things. But hi, Maria. How are you, darling? I just wanted to, it's really important, and it weighs heavy on my heart. So I really thought that it would be something that I'd like to share with all of you. So one more time, before we really dig deep into this, go grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or some water, whatever it is. Grab a pen and a pencil, because I'm going to give you some great ideas, and hopefully you'll have things to jot down and take away from my talk today. So go and take care of that, and I'll give you a minute. And if there's anybody else that's jumping on, thank you for being here. This is, I started these episodes not too long ago. We're only on episode 4, and I'm really enjoying being out there and being, whoops, oh, I don't know how that happens. I'm sorry about that. I really enjoy doing them and sharing the knowledge that I have with all of you. And I hope moving forward that you will let me know if there is something that you would like to discuss. And I will gladly do a show about it. And from these, I will be putting together classes that we can do online. So we can dig deeper into different situations and different tools that I have. So we'll be doing meditation classes and things like that. So I'll keep you posted on when all of that comes about. And I'll be having one very soon on anxiety and meditation. So keep your eyes open for that. Now, Let's get started. Thank you all again for being here. This is episode 4 of Tuesdays with Teresa, and I am your host. So let's see. Let's get rocking today. Anxiety. We're going to talk about that today. So the definition of anxiety is intense, excessive, and persistent worry and fear about everyday situations, right? So as I was saying a few minutes ago, since I started menopause in the past 2 years, I've noticed that I've been much more anxious than I have been in the past. I feel overwhelmingly anxious some days. It has a physical toll on me. I feel tightness in my chest. Sometimes my breath gets a little bit short, or my breathing is very shallow. And sometimes my hands will shake. I get really, really cranky, and you can ask my kids about that. I'm sure they'll agree with me. But I think it's something that so many of us deal with, and we don't like to talk about publicly. You know, it's an ugly word. It's an ugly thing, but it's reality for so many of us. So we have to figure out how we can band together and find ways that we can really kind of keep it at bay. At this point, I am not on medication. I don't want to go down that route, so I'm going to use the tools that I know. And if you are suffering with anxiety or depression, I really urge you to get some help. If you need that medication, then take it. You have to go with what's right for you. So right now I'm battling it and I'm dealing with it. It's more frequent than I would like it to be. So I recently made some changes in what I am doing to focus on the triggers, things that I know could trigger some anxiety. So I try to do away with that, changing some of the eating that I've done, keeping away from certain things, and adding other supplements into my diet to try and help with this, because there's a lot of natural things that you can do. So as I was saying, you know, lately I've been feeling really, really anxious. Not sure if it has anything to do with, you know, the menopause that I'm starting. It probably does. There's been a lot of changes over the past couple of years. Things haven't exactly gone the way I planned or what my vision board looked like. So that's bringing on some anxiety for myself too. And we all end up dealing with things that we don't think that we're going to have to deal with, right? And that could bring on a lot of anxiety. No matter how you twist and turn, anxiety is an ugly thing. It affects us mentally, spiritually, and definitely physically. You know, yeah, it beats the crap out of you. As I mentioned, you know, my chest I can feel tightness in my chest. I will notice that my breathing might be a little bit more shallow. Sometimes if it's really bad, my hands will get a little bit shaky. And we can combat that sometimes if we know, and if we're really in tune with ourselves of what can trigger our anxiety. There are certain things that we know that can trigger it. So when you do, it's important to head off at the beginning. If you know that you're going into a situation, if you are going to be in the presence of someone that makes you anxious. Yesterday, I had my son's IEP meeting, and I was definitely anxious going in. It worked. It really was not stressful at all. Thank goodness, because they really can be. I've been in some of those meetings where they've been really, really stressful and combative, unfortunately. But yesterday's was really, we discussed a few things. We ironed some things out. It really was a very, very good meeting. It was a positive meeting. But if you know that you're going into a situation, then you need to prepare yourself. If you know that you're going to see somebody that makes you anxious, do something about it before you go into that situation, right? Whatever it is. For me, I use EFT tapping, right? I'll do a few rounds of tapping, and that will put my anxiety at bay. for a while. I may need to tap after the situation, and that's okay too. If you don't know what EFT is, tapping, it's emotional freedom technique. I'm going to do another whole show on that because that's one of my favorite things to do. I call it my miracle worker because it works on everything and anything. So I am an EFT practitioner. So that being said, I've helped a lot of people deal with their anxiety using this great tool of tapping EFT. Like I said, it's called emotional freedom technique. Do whatever. Take deep breaths. If you need to learn some breathing techniques, I can teach you breathing techniques. You can Google it. You can Google anything these days. But if you know that something is going to trigger you, if you know what your triggers are and you're aware of them, then you can head it off at the pass before you head into a situation that is going to cause you anxiety. Now, I'm not saying that that situation won't make you anxious, but it will help hopefully make you not as anxious as you would be. Maybe you'll just be a little bit nervous. You won't feel the full effects. You'll kind of just have butterflies in your stomach, or, it won't be as severe as it would be if you didn't prepare yourself. It's really, really important to be prepared. So what I suggest is taking a few moments, sitting down and making a list. Think of the times that you did feel really anxious and what those situations were. Right? Like I said, I knew I was going into a meeting yesterday. I knew it could potentially get not so friendly. And I prepared myself and it worked. I know a lot of times, depending on what week it is with my school, with my kids with school, I'm still helping my younger one, with his schoolwork, and he's in high school. Sometimes I get anxious because I can't do chemistry. I did chemistry 40 years ago or 35 years ago. So things like that can make me anxious, knowing that, he struggles so much with school and I'm still helping him. And that brings anxiety to my life. There are certain people in life that, sometimes they're family, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're neighbors. Sometimes you just know that you're going to be in a situation, even if it's a social situation, somebody that really makes you anxious. Well, you can prepare yourself. So think of over the past few weeks, if you're dealing with anxiety, the past few months, write down the situations where you felt very anxious, and you can even rate your anxiety. Like, I felt really anxious at this point, right? And write it down. Write down what it was and see if there's a common thread. See if there's a person or a situation that always makes you feel anxious, right? It could be that driving makes you anxious. Sometimes driving does make me anxious, right? Write that down. So this way you know what your triggers are. And before you go into that situation, or you have to be with that person, you can prepare yourself. And again, you could do tapping, EFT, you can do some yoga breaths. You can even, if you have time, you could do a short meditation. Whatever it takes, just do it, right? So now I'm going to talk about some things that you can try to prepare yourself. Or if you don't know what triggers you, and sometimes I know for myself, I've had anxiety attacks and panic attacks that come out of the clear blue, where I can't figure out what the trigger was. And that happens too, right? So if that happens, I want to just share with you some things that you can do, that you can try to help eliminate the anxiety, right? And those feelings that you get. And you can try this before, during, after. Try it all the time. It doesn't matter. You're trying something, you're helping yourself. So one thing I like to do is called the 5-4-3-2-1 method. I like this method. It really distracts you. I know when I teach my meditation classes, I always say, if you're focusing on the breath or you're focusing on a mantra, that your mind can only focus on one thing at a time, right? So this takes you through a few steps of focusing on different things. So what it is first, take a deep breath and find 5 things that you can see. Look around you, find 5 things that you can see. So I can see my computer. I can see my chair. I can see behind me, I see my calendar. 5 things you can see. Then 4 things you can touch. What can you touch? I can touch my coffee cup. I can touch the tablecloth. I can touch my shirt, right? My shirt actually happens to be really soft today. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch. Now you go a step further and you stop, and 3 things you can hear. I hear the hum of my refrigerator. I hear my heat, the forced air heat. Listen even closer. And if you're inside, what can you hear outside? Okay? So it's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. Now 2 things you can smell. So now you see, we're really pushing our brains to go a little bit farther than we did before. So when you're focusing on this, you're not focusing on the anxiety that you're feeling, right? So 2 things you can smell. I can smell my coffee, right? I could smell the essential oils that I have in my essential oil holder. I have neroli in there, one of my favorites. And think about one thing that you can taste. I can taste my coffee. See, so it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So you're bringing all your senses together. You're touching on all your senses. And when I do visualization meditations in a class, in a group, or in a session, I always make sure that I bring in all of the 5 senses, right? It just makes it more real. Another thing you do is cut the energetic cords. So what that means is, if you're not familiar with the term cutting the cords, cords are energetic attachments that we form when we have an interaction with another person, place, or thing, right? So you create cords, you gather cords every day as you go through your day. If you're on the computer a lot, you have these energetic cords that now attach you to the computer. If you go to the supermarket, you're attaching cords to people that you pass by. And many times, if you can walk through a place and be like, ooh, I don't know what, and you just have a sense about somebody, you're taking all those cords with you. And if you're very in tune with energy, this can really bring on anxiety for you by the end of the day. So all you have to do is cut the cords. And that's an easy thing. That's a quick visualization. If you want to know more about that, just send me a message and I'll teach you how to do that. We call in Archangel Michael to help us cut those cords. So that's another thing that you can do. Another great thing to do is take an Epsom salt bath, right? If you're really feeling anxious and you have the time, take an Epsom salt bath. It's a great way to detox. It helps to clear your energy. It will release those cords that we just spoke about. And those cords, they have connections that are holding you back from living in peace and feeling peaceful. Breathe deeply, right? We always have to breathe. And I tell this to all of my students all of the time. We have to breathe. So even if you're in the middle of an argument with someone and you're feeling anxious, you still need to breathe. You don't have to sit, close your eyes, cross-legged on the floor. You don't have to do that, but you still need to breathe. You could take a step back. You could take a few deep breaths and just really release it. And if you do have the time, try a yoga breath, alternate nostril breathing, or box breathing, which is really, really simple. Real quick, you breathe in for 4, you hold your breath for 4, and you exhale out of your mouth for 4. Count to 4 so it's even. It's a box breath. Okay, you can do that. Do that a few times. That will definitely get your heart rate down. It'll get you centered. It'll help you to start feeling less anxious. Go for a walk. If you can, go for a walk. I know sometimes when the anxiety comes out of the blue for me, I need to be outside. Up here, I'm in New Jersey Right now we're in winter. So yesterday it was cool out. So going outside, taking a deep breath of the crisp air really made me feel better. See if you can go for a walk. Go walk around the block if you have to. Meditate. If you can, meditate. My friend just shared with me a meditation for anxiety. It's by mindful.com. I've been using that for the past week, and it's really helping. Sometimes I don't normally use guided meditations, but I felt recently that I really had to, because my anxiety was it was every day, and the anxiety was just really becoming overwhelming. So she shared it with me, and I've been doing that, and that's been working. Try some essential oils. I don't believe on ingesting essential oils. That's my belief. The more I read about it, the more I'm like, yeah, no, that's not a good thing. Like I said, in here, I have neroli. Neroli is a great one. It's one of my favorites. Lavender, rose oil, neroli, frankincense. These are all very calming and can really help calm you down. If you don't have the essential oils, you can really kind of get them anywhere. There's plenty of companies out there. If you're a Young Living distributor or doTERRA, that's awesome. Whatever it is, have them handy. You can buy them in Whole Foods, things like that. Get one that you like. I don't love the lavender scent. I know it does work. That's why I would rather use neroli. And that's okay. You can buy lavender. They have the dried lavender and put little sachets. And if you can, when you meditate, make a little sachet of lavender and put it over your eyes, and that will help. Journaling. This is important, people. I hope you hear me. You need to journal, right? I said before, make a list of the things of the times that you felt anxious and write down what was happening. Writing it down, you will be able to see and pick out your triggers. Really important to journal. Really, really important. You can create a gratitude journal, which is really important, because when we're shifting our thoughts from inside and I'm feeling nervous about what's going on to what am I grateful for, it will help to eliminate our feelings of anxiety. Put on some spa music. I know when my son is doing homework and I'm trying to help him and it makes me very anxious, I put on spa music. It's in the background. It's, you're not getting distracted by singing the words, or your favorite song comes on, or, oh, I hate that song. Put on some spa music. We all have apps today. There's radio.com, iHeartRadio, you name Pandora, whatever it is, find a spa channel, and just put on some soothing music. And like I said, tap, EFT, emotional freedom technique. Do your tapping. Even if you're not sure, don't worry about what you're saying. It's more important about tapping on the different meridian points. Like I said, I will do a show on that in the future. There's so many more things that you can do to control your anxiety and to get a handle on it, because it really is debilitating, and it can be extremely debilitating. If you need a therapist or a counselor or a spiritual teacher, an intuitive mentor, or sometimes just a good friend, someone who understands and is not going to be like, well, this is what you need to do. Sometimes when I'm feeling anxious, I just need to call somebody and just to vent and just be like, listen, I just need to get this off my chest, and just be like, I can't, this is how I'm feeling right now, and whatever it is. And then sometimes, I'll feel better. Find somebody to talk to, whether it's a professional or a friend, depending on the severity of your anxiety. If you need a doctor, go see a doctor. If you want to know about my services and how I can help you, just reach out to me. We can have a short conversation to see if I am right for you, or what I teach is in line with your beliefs. I do private sessions, doesn't matter where you are. I do most of my sessions through Skype or some kind of Facebook Messenger. You don't need to live close to me, that's fine. And even for some of my clients that do live close, we still do it through video, because you are in the comfort of your own home. So you don't have to worry about getting anywhere or being at an appointment or driving somewhere, hitting traffic or whatever, things that can cause you to be anxious. So I hope this helped. And I read a quote today about anxiety. And, it really makes a lot of sense when we don't know really, it's like, what is anxiety? So our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but wanting to control it. I am reading right now, like I said, I'm taking certain steps this year in making my life better and making my life more peaceful and having more inner peace. And I'm eliminating things from my diet. I'm adding things to my diet, and I'm changing some things, some really simple things. My husband sent me a meme that he found on Instagram, and it was 10 things that you can do to make your life better. So I was like, oh, okay, let's take a look at this. And we made the commitment together that we're going to read every night for 20, 30 minutes. So I was like, okay, so let me see what book would be the best for me to read right now. And I was like, oh, you know what? I really want my business to grow this year. That's really one of my big goals. And there's a book, You're a Badass at Making Money. It's like, oh, I could read that. And then I was like, no, I will read that this year. Maybe it'll be my next book. But considering that I'm really dealing with anxiety, I decided that I'm going to read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, because it's so important. Now in this very moment is the only thing that we have. We don't have 5 minutes ago because that's gone. It's the past. And we don't have the future because it's not here yet. So if I can be in this moment, in the now, that will bring peace to my heart. It will eliminate my anxiety. It'll eliminate any feelings of sadness or depression. So I made the decision that I wanted to read that because it would be beneficial for me moving forward in my goals for myself for this year. And that is definitely to have more peace in my heart and to vibrate in that energy of peace. We're all these balls of energy encapsulated in this physical thing that we call a body. And we have different vibrations. And the highest vibration is love, right? And to be there, we have to have peace in our hearts. And that's my goal, to strive to be at that vibration as much as I can every day, as many moments as I can every day. So I thought that The Power of Now would be the best book for me to help me on my path. And not to say that, I'm a badass at making money isn't going to be in my future to read this year, because it's definitely on my list of books that I want to read this year. So I hope that you enjoy this. I see some more people join me. Hello, hello. Oh, hey, Dawn. And Danielle, I'm glad that you made it here. I know you said you were going to try to make it. Thanks for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this. It will be posted. I will pin it at the top of the page. Anxiety really affects so many people. And I just found that the older I get, the more anxious I feel. And I didn't think it was going to be that way. When I was younger and I was anxious, like, oh, when I get older and I have a grip on life, I won't be as anxious. But I am. So I hope that you will try some of the tips. Let me know how those tips work out for you. Let me know if there are other things that you do to combat anxiety. Post them. Let me know what you do. This way we can share and we can all lift everybody up. And if you want to know more about what I do, just reach out to me and we can set up a free consultation, a small little chat, just to kind of see where you are and if you want any of my help. And honestly, I really hope that this helped you. I will be back in 2 weeks. I will keep you posted on what the topic is. If there's anything that you want me to discuss in Tuesdays with Teresa, you let me know, and I will take that to the show. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave some comments. Let me know how you liked it, what your takeaway was, your biggest takeaway. And if you have something that helps you combat anxiety, let us know what it is. Wishing you all well. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Remember, don't just live your life. Love your life. See you later.